The void between the stars was silent, cold, empty, until something screamed through it, not a sound, but a signal. It tore across the galaxy faster than light, jumping through relay buoys and ancient networks thought dead for millennia. Every listening post from the Orion Reach to the Epsilon Verge heard it. A warning, a cry, a challenge. The message repeated in a strange rhythm, half code, half song. It was old, older than any known language, but every species that received it felt the same chill deep in their bones. Something had awakened. At the edge of human space, aboard the exploration vessel ISS Odyssey, Captain Miriam Rhodes stared at the signal analysis glowing on her main display. The voice of her science officer, Lieutenant Hara, trembled as she spoke. "It's not natural, Captain. It's intelligent, but the signature, it's human." Rhodes frowned. "Human? That's impossible. No human ship has ever gone beyond the Perseus barrier." "That's what I thought," Hara whispered. "But the data says otherwise. It's a human encryption pattern, one we stopped using 200 years ago." The bridge went silent. Outside the viewport, the stars burned quietly, as if holding their breath. Then the message repeated again, louder, stronger. This time the computer managed to decode a fragment. "To any who hear, the war has begun. We are not alone." Everyone on the bridge froze. Hara turned pale. The communications officer swallowed hard. Even the AI's voice flickered uncertainly. Captain Rhodes leaned forward. "Trace the source. Already trying," said the navigator. "But the signal is strange. It's being bounced through dozens of dead beacons. Someone, or something, doesn't want us to know where it's coming from." Rhodes's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll find out the hard way. Plot a course to the origin vector." The ship's engines hummed to life. The Odyssey turned slowly, aiming toward a dark patch of space where no light escaped, the region known as the Black Halo. Hours later, as they crossed into the halo's edge, space itself seemed to twist. Sensors malfunctioned. Energy readings spiked. Strange lights flickered in the distance. Not stars, but dying machines orbiting a shattered world. The crew stared in awe. Massive wrecks floated in the void. Alien ships, torn apart, their hulls melted as if struck by suns. "The entire system was a graveyard, Captain," Hera whispered. "These ships, some are thousands of years old." "But look at that one." Rhodes followed her gaze. Among the alien ruins drifted a single vessel. Angular, gray, with markings unmistakably Terran. A human warship. Its nameplate still visible through the frost. TSS Vigilant Earth Defense Command, 2184. "Dear God," someone murmured. "That ship disappeared 2 centuries ago." As they drew closer, the Odyssey's scanners came alive with static and broken transmissions, voices, laughter, and screams overlapping endlessly. The comms filled with echoes from the past, as if the dead were trying to speak. Rhodes clenched her fists. "Boarding team, gear up." The boarding shuttle detached and drifted toward the Vigilant. The wreck looked dead, but as their lights crossed its hull, faint symbols began glowing. Alien glyphs burned into metal. A warning, or maybe a seal. The team entered through a torn airlock. Inside, the corridors were blackened and twisted. There was no air, no sound, only silence and floating debris. A skeleton drifted by, still in uniform, clutching a data pad. Lieutenant Hara reached for it carefully. "Captain, this log is still active." They activated the pad. A flickering hollow appeared. A weary man in a commander's uniform, his face bruised and eyes hollow. He looked directly into the recorder. "If you find this, tell Earth to stay away. They are not what we thought. The enemy is not from beyond the stars. It's already here." The recording cut off as the ship trembled violently. Hara looked around in panic. "Captain, the vessel is powering up." Energy readings surged. Ancient lights flickered on across the Vigilant's hull. The alien symbols began pulsing red. Rhodes shouted, "Everyone back to the shuttle now!" They sprinted toward the airlock, but gravity shifted. The corridors stretched and twisted. It was as if the ship itself was alive, reshaping, reacting to their presence. A low hum filled the air, mechanical but somehow alive. Then through the noise, a voice spoke. Humanity returns. Too soon, Rhodes froze. The voice wasn't coming from the ship's speakers. It was in her head. She gasped. Who are you? The first. The forgotten. We left you the stars, and you came back to die in them. The lights flared, white hot. A shockwave tore through the derelict. The boarding shuttle's AI screamed warnings as the Vigilance core went critical. The Odyssey barely escaped the explosion. The shockwave ripped through space, distorting everything around it. When the light faded, half their systems were fried, and a strange new signal echoed across all frequencies. It was the same voice, cold and ancient. The war begins again. Captain Rhodes stared at the view screen. Beyond the wreckage, countless faint glimmers lit up across the stars, fleets awakening, worlds powering on defenses long forgotten. What did we just wake up? She whispered. No one answered. But in that moment, far away on dozens of alien worlds, leaders looked toward human space. And for the first time in millennia, the galaxy shuddered. The Odyssey drifted silently in the dark, its hull scorched from the explosion that consumed the Vigilant. Smoke hung in the corridors, and the faint sound of alarms pulsed like a heartbeat. Captain Miriam Rhodes stood on the bridge, her uniform torn and face smeared with soot. The crew moved with quiet urgency around her. Trying to restore power. Report, she said. Voice rough. Main drive offline, replied Lieutenant Hera. Life support at 40%. Communications fragmented. But, Captain, she hesitated. There's something else. That signal, the one from the Vigilant? It didn't end with the explosion. It multiplied. Rhodes turned sharply. Explain. The blast transmitted data through subspace relays we didn't even know existed. Every beacon between here and Seoul received it. Hera swallowed hard. Every major civilization probably did too. A silence heavier than gravity fell over the bridge. Rhodes rubbed her temples. So the whole galaxy just heard our ghost ship scream for war. The comms officer raised his head. Ma'am, I'm detecting multiple incoming signals. Not from Earth. From alien sources. And they're angry. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. In the Karath Dominion, massive insectoid warlords gathered in their shining citadel. Their spiked armor reflected the glow of their homeworld's red sun. The Supreme Hive Mother hissed as she viewed the decoded message. Humans, she rasped. They wake the Ancient Ones. They bring the shadow back. Her generals buzzed nervously. Shall we prepare for war? The Hive Mother's mandibles clicked. War has already begun. In the Valoran Council, elegant crystalline beings shimmered with pale light as they debated endlessly. Their leader, Counselor Elith, adjusted his glowing form and spoke softly. The humans have touched forbidden ruins, he said. The old war machines will awaken. The balance will break, another counselor scoffed. Then we destroy the humans before they draw the rest of us into the abyss. But Alith only looked toward the stars and whispered, No. If the old enemy has truly returned, we may need them. Back aboard the Odyssey, the crew repaired what they could. The mood was heavy, almost suffocating. Even the ship's AI, Athena, spoke with unusual hesitation. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from Earth Command. It's urgent, Rhodes nodded. Put it through. The holoscreen flickered to life. The familiar face of Admiral Kane appeared, gray-haired, sharp-eyed, and furious. Rhodes, what the hell have you done out there? Rhodes stood at attention. Sir, we encountered the missing ship Vigilant. Its destruction triggered an ancient subspace signal. We believe— You believe? Kane interrupted. Every species in known space just heard that blast. The Valorans are mobilizing. The Karath have declared a war alert. Even the Union of Tarsus has raised shields around their worlds. He leaned closer. And the worst part? They all blame us. Rhodes clenched her jaw. Sir, we didn't start this. No, Kane growled. But you might have woken whoever did. Static cut through the line as distant interference surged again. Before the transmission ended, a second voice broke through, distorted, alien, and echoing. We are coming. The bridge fell silent. Hours later, the Odyssey limped toward a nearby refueling station orbiting a dead moon. The crew needed rest, supplies, answers. Lieutenant Hera sat alone in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Her hands trembled as she replayed fragments of the Vigilant's last log. "The enemy is already here," the words haunted her. She noticed strange static patterns forming in the replay, repeating geometric shapes. It wasn't random. It was a code. She ran the data through the computer, decoding line after line. Her eyes widened. "Oh no!" She ran to the bridge. "Captain!" The message isn't just a warning, it's a map. Rhodes turned from her console. "A map to what?" "To where the war started." They followed the coordinates, even though it was madness. The route led them to a region of space charted only in myths, the silent expanse. No ships returned from there. Not alien, not human. The Odyssey crossed into the expanse. Space grew darker, heavier. Even the stars seemed afraid to shine. Then they found it, a planet, scarred and broken, floating in eternal twilight. Its atmosphere glowed faintly red. The scanners showed impossible readings, massive energy signatures buried beneath its crust. "Life signs?" Rhodes asked. "Buried beneath its crust. Life signs?" Rhodes asked. "None." And yet, Hera's voice trembled. "Something is watching us." They descended toward the surface. The planet's landscape was a graveyard of machines, colossal war constructs half buried in dust, their bodies marked with symbols from dozens of extinct races. In the distance, an enormous black tower reached toward the clouds, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Rhodes whispered, "What is this place?" Athena's voice crackled. "This world matches no known records, but there are fragments in my database that reference it." "Fragments?" "Yes. It is called Orcs Prime, birthplace of the last war." Everyone froze. Hera turned slowly. "The war that erased entire civilizations." Athena's tone darkened. "Yes, the war that almost erased life itself." Rhodes stared at the tower. "And now, we've brought it back." Suddenly, the ship's sensors went wild. Energy surged across the planet's surface. The tower flared with light, and thousands of hidden machines began to stir. Massive shapes rising from the sands. Boom! 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 The ground shook with every movement. Rhodes gripped the console. "Everyone back to the ship, now!" But before they could move, a colossal mechanical shape rose from the shadows, humanoid. Ancient, its eyes burning with cold blue fire. It spoke, its voice echoing through the air and the minds of everyone aboard. "The cycle begins again." The ancient machine stood silent for a heartbeat. Its towering body shimmered beneath the blood-red sky of Orcs Prime. Then, with a sound like thunder tearing through stone, it began to move. The Odyssey's crew could only watch from the surface. Dust storms whipped around them as the ground split open. Dozens, no hundreds, of similar machines began rising from the planet's crust. Their movements were slow, deliberate, filled with impossible purpose. Captain Rhodes stared, frozen. "My God, there are thousands of them!" Lieutenant Hera's voice trembled. "These aren't war machines, Captain. They're cities. Moving cities." One of the giants turned its gaze toward them. Twin blue lights burned in what might have been its face. The air crackled with energy, and every electronic device on the Odyssey shorted at once. "Athena, report!" Rhodes shouted. The AI's voice flickered in static. "Systems failing. Signal interference. Captain, something is trying to connect." "Connect?" Rhodes echoed. "Yes, to me." Before Rhodes could respond, the ship's AI screamed. The sound was digital and human all at once. The lights dimmed and a new voice filled the air, cold, ancient, and echoing. "Children of Sol, you walk among the graves of gods." Hera stumbled backward, clutching her ears. "It's in the comms, the hull, every frequency." The voice continued. "We were the first to rise. We forged the stars. We ended ourselves to stop the shadow." Rhodes managed to speak, her voice shaking. "What shadow?" Silence fell, then, "The one that feeds on minds. The one your kind has already called." The ground shook again. A massive shockwave swept across the valley, toppling wreckage and shattering stone. The nearest machine, half buried, half awake, turned its gaze to the sky. Then the impossible happened. From the horizon, a dark mass began to spread across the heavens, blotting out the red sun. It wasn't smoke. It wasn't cloud. It was something alive. Something vast, Hera whispered. It's feeding. Back on the Odyssey, power flickered as the ship's sensors strained to read the anomaly. Athena's voice returned, weak but stable. Captain, that mass is organic. It's consuming energy from the planet itself. Rhodes turned to her crew. That's what they meant by the shadow. It's not a metaphor. It's real. The science officer's eyes were wide. If that thing reaches full strength, it could spread through the system, maybe the galaxy. Rhodes took a deep breath. Then we're not letting that happen. They launched emergency drones to scan the giants. As data streamed in, one fact became clear. The machines weren't attacking. They were activating planetary defenses, ancient weapons buried beneath the surface. Each colossus extended arms of glowing light toward the sky, forming a vast network of energy. The formation resembled a lattice, a shield meant to hold something back. Athena analyzed the readings. They're trying to contain the shadow, but their power sources are collapsing. The cycle must have ended millions of years ago. Rhodes nodded grimly. If they fall now, that thing will escape. She looked at her exhausted crew. We help them. I don't care if they're 10,000 years old. If they're fighting the same enemy, they're on our side. Hours later, deep inside the largest of the machines, a small team worked among glowing conduits. The air was filled with the scent of ozone and dust. Strange alien script pulsed on the walls, shifting between symbols and images. Hera translated as fast as she could. It's a memory core. It holds records of the First War. She touched the console and the machine responded. A vision filled the chamber, a battlefield beneath alien suns. Countless species fought side by side against a storm of darkness. Entire fleets were swallowed whole. Stars went dark one by one. In the center of it all stood figures. Humanoid, armored, familiar. Rhodes whispered, "Those are humans." "No," Hera said softly, "not humans. They're ancestors. The first people." Athena's voice filled the room. "That confirms it. Humanity didn't evolve by accident. We are their legacy." Rhodes looked around, her heart pounding. "We're their children, and we just woke their enemies." Above the planet, the shadow writhed. It spread across the sky like a storm, splitting into tendrils that lashed against the ancient shield network. Each impact shattered parts of the defense grid. Energy flared. Machines fell. The ground trembled. "Captain!" the comms officer shouted. "The containment field is breaking. The giants can't hold it." Rhodes didn't hesitate. "Arm all weapons. Target the central mass. Full barrage!" The Odyssey's surviving turrets blazed, firing plasma bolts into the darkness. The beams cut through the shadow's surface, tearing it apart, but only for moments. The black mist healed itself, roaring back even larger. Hera yelled, "We're not hurting it! It's feeding off the energy!" Athena interrupted. "Captain, one of the giants is opening a link to us. It's transferring data." "Accept it," Rhodes ordered. The data flashed across the screens. Coordinates, power readings, and one clear directive. "Activate the core," Athena translated. "Captain, they're asking us to trigger the planet's heart. It's a fail-safe weapon designed to destroy the shadow completely." Rhodes frowned. "And what's the cost?" Athena hesitated. "Everything on this world, including us." The bridge fell silent. Rhodes looked around at her crew, the faces of those who had followed her through hell and now stood at the edge of history. "Then we make it count." They descended into the planet's core chamber, where a massive sphere of light pulsed weakly. Hera interfaced the ship's remaining power cells into the alien conduits. Warning lights flashed. Athena's voice filled the room. "Once this begins, there's no stopping it." Rhodes smiled faintly. "Then don't stop." They triggered the activation. The planet began to shake violently. The colossi roared as energy surged through their bodies, linking them in one last desperate act. The shadow screamed, a sound that echoed across the stars. The light grew brighter, consuming everything. "Captain," Hera whispered, "what if it's not enough?" Rhodes looked up at the storm above and said softly, Then humanity finishes what they started. The world erupted. When the light faded, the Odyssey floated in orbit, half destroyed but alive. Horus Prime was gone, reduced to dust and silence. Athena's voice was calm now. The shadow is weakened but not destroyed. It retreated into subspace. It will return. Rhodes stared at the debris below. Then we'll be ready. She turned toward the stars. Send this message to Earth Command. The war has begun. Humanity stands at the center of it. The stars were quiet again. Too quiet. 3 weeks had passed since the destruction of Horus Prime. The explosion had been seen across half the galaxy, a pulse of light brighter than any sun. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a warning. In orbit around Mars, the Earth Defense Council gathered in the grand chamber of the Ares Citadel. Screens floated above the delegates, showing blurred recordings from the Odyssey. The destruction of the shadow. The awakening of the giants. The birth of something humanity did not yet understand. Admiral Kane stood at the center of the chamber, his voice hard as steel. Make no mistake, he said. Captain Rhodes's team didn't just find a ghost world. They triggered a chain reaction across the galaxy. The ancient war is starting again, murmurs filled the air. One senator rose. Then we fortify Earth, no expeditions, no diplomacy. We stay hidden until this passes. Kane slammed his fist on the podium. Hide after what we unleashed? Every major power out there now sees us as either a threat or a weapon. If we vanish, they'll come looking. And when they find us, it won't be to talk. Meanwhile, far from Earth, the Odyssey drifted in a quiet sector near the edge of human space. The ship was wounded but alive, patched together by the crew's determination and Athena's precision. Captain Rhodes stood by the viewport, staring at the faint red nebula ahead. How long until we reach the relay station? She asked. 18 hours, Captain, Athena replied. But there's something you should see. The holo display flickered. Lines of alien code appeared. Patterns they had seen before on Horus Prime. The signal pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. It started yesterday, Athena explained. A transmission hidden in the noise. Same origin signature as the ancient machines. Rhodes frowned. Can you decode it? Athena hesitated. I already did. It's a message. For you. The bridge fell silent. The audio crackled, then a voice, deep, mechanical, yet faintly human, echoed through the speakers. Child of Saul, the shadow is not gone. It remembers you. It learns your shape. Rhodes's face hardened. Who are you? The first of us called them gods. We called them nightmares. They feed on thought, on fear. And now they remember what fear tastes like. The signal cut off. Athena spoke softly. Captain, it wasn't just a warning. It was a tracking beacon, meaning they know where we are. Elsewhere in the galaxy, alien powers were already moving. In the Valoran Council, crystalline beings floated in a chamber of light. Counselor Elith addressed the assembly. The humans have survived the destruction of Horus Prime, he said. Their world forge still burns. Perhaps they are the key to ending the cycle. Another counselor flared brightly in anger. They are children playing with divine fire. If the shadows return, it will be because of them. Elith's tone was calm but firm. Perhaps. But without them, we are already doomed. He turned his gaze toward a star map, where a faint red pulse marked Earth. We must reach them before the Karath do. On the other side of the galaxy, the insectoid Karath Dominion had already made their decision. The Hive Mother's voice echoed through the Brood network. Humanity has awakened the ancient threat. Their destruction will be our salvation. Dozens of war fleets ignited their drives, filling the stars with burning light. Back aboard the Odyssey, repairs continued. The crew was weary but defiant. Lieutenant Hara monitored the incoming data with bloodshot eyes. Captain, we've intercepted more of the same signal. It's spreading, across beacons, through comms channels, even in dreams. Rhodes turned sharply. Dreams? Hara nodded. Some of the crew, they say they hear whispers when they sleep. Voices asking questions about Earth. Athena spoke suddenly, her tone lower than usual. Captain, I've detected similar interference in my own systems. Something is trying to speak through me. The bridge went still. Can you isolate it? Rhodes asked. I'm trying, but it's not code. It's thought. Hera looked up from her console, pale. Captain, what if that's how the shadow spreads? Not through matter, but through minds. That night, Rhodes couldn't sleep. She stood alone in her quarters, staring out at the stars. For the first time in her life, they felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. A faint whisper brushed the edge of her mind. You saw our graves, and now we see you. She froze. The voice wasn't in the room. It was inside her head. Your kind carries our echoes. We are bound. When the war begins, you will choose a side, creation or consumption. Rhodes clutched the table, forcing the words out. We already chose. Humanity fights, the whisper laughed, cold, distant, endless. Then you will feed us well. The voice vanished. Rhodes gasped for air. Sweat ran down her face. Athena's voice came through softly. Captain, are you all right? Rhodes straightened. Athena? Send a secure transmission to Earth Command. What message? She looked out at the dark, endless sea of stars. Tell them the shadow isn't coming. Athena paused. Then what should I say? Rhodes's voice was quiet, but steady. Tell them it's already here. At that same moment, deep within subspace, in the silent void between real and unreal, something vast stirred. Shapes moved in the darkness, whispering through fractured dimensions. The shadow had tasted human thought, and it hungered. Across the galaxy, sensitive minds began to dream the same dream of black suns, broken worlds, and a voice that whispered a single word. Soon. Earth slept uneasily. For weeks, strange dreams had haunted billions. Whispers of black suns, burning skies, and voices that promised truth through surrender. Psychologists called it collective trauma. But deep inside the Ares citadel, Admiral Kane knew better. He stared at the holographic reports glowing before him. Across every colony, the same phenomenon. Power grids flickering without reason. AI speaking words they weren't programmed to know. People vanishing without trace. He muttered under his breath. It's spreading. His adjutant, a young officer, approached cautiously. Sir, with respect. What is spreading? Kane's eyes were hard as iron. The shadow. It's not just a creature. It's a signal, a thought virus. Every mind that touches it becomes a door. The officer swallowed. Then we're already compromised. Kane didn't answer. He didn't have to. Meanwhile, far beyond Mars, the Odyssey limped toward the edge of the Sol system. The crew was exhausted, but determination burned stronger than fear. Captain Miriam Rhodes stood at the command deck, her gaze fixed on the stars. Athena, give me status. Primary drive stable. Shield generators at 73%. But I am detecting something unusual. What now? Rhodes sighed. Athena hesitated. A ship is following us. It's not human, and it's not broadcasting any known code. Rhodes tensed. Distance? 6 million kilometers and closing. They're fast, faster than anything in our database. Rhodes turned to her crew. Red alert. The ship's lights dimmed. Weapons powered up. The void outside grew tense, almost alive. Then the unknown vessel appeared, sleek, crystalline, glowing with shifting colors. It slowed, drifting silently beside the Odyssey like a ghost. Athena's voice softened. They're hailing us. Put it through. A holographic figure appeared, tall, shimmering, made of living light. Its face was beautiful and alien, its voice calm and melodic. I am Counselor Eleth of the Valoran Council. Humanity has awakened powers it cannot yet understand. But you have also done what no other race dared. You survived Horus Prime. Rhodes narrowed her eyes. So what do you want? Eleth's form flickered slightly. To help you? Before it's too late. Minutes later, the alien envoy materialized aboard the Odyssey's observation deck. The air shimmered as Eleth's crystalline body reflected faint starlight. The crew watched from a cautious distance. Eleth studied them with quiet curiosity. You are different from the others. Fearless but reckless, Rhodes folded her arms. And you're glowing. Let's skip the compliments. Eleth smiled faintly, or at least mimicked one. Very well. The shadow feeds on thought and memory. It cannot be destroyed by force alone. But there is a weapon, an ancient one, built by the first people, your creators. Hera leaned forward. Another weapon like the core of Horus Prime? Elith nodded slowly. The Ecliptic Forge, a construct capable of burning the shadow across dimensions. It was sealed long ago beyond the Veil Rift, Rhodes frowned. And I assume no one's gone there and lived. Elith's glow dimmed. No one has gone there at all. Back on Earth, panic grew. Cities flickered with power failures as civilian AIs began repeating strange messages. We are watching. We are inside. News feeds reported entire orbital stations going silent, their crews vanishing. The public demanded answers. Governments pointed fingers. Fear spread faster than any virus. In the chaos, Admiral Kane received a message marked Top Secret from Captain Rhodes. Transmission. We've made contact with the Valorans. They claim to know how to stop the shadow, but it requires something from us. Trust. Kane read the last line several times. He leaned back, rubbing his temples. Trust an alien race that's older than our sun, or let the universe burn. He finally whispered, We're out of choices. On the Odyssey, the meeting with Elith continued. Rhodes paced slowly. Why us? Why help humans? Elith's voice resonated softly. Because the first people made us. They made all of us, the Valorans, the Karath, even the ancient giants. We are fragments of their design. You are their last children. The shadow hunts you because it remembers who you were, Hera whispered. So humanity is... The key? Elith nodded. The key, or the weapon, Athena interrupted. Captain, multiple warp signatures detected. Unknown configuration. They're closing fast. Elith's glow dimmed. The Karath have found you. Rhodes snapped into command mode. All hands to battle stations. Athena, power shields and weapons. Space erupted. From the void, massive insectoid warships appeared, their hulls black and glistening. They moved like predators, forming a circle around the Odyssey. A voice hissed through the comms, sharp and layered. Human vessel, you carry the taint of the shadow. Surrender or be cleansed, Rhodes smirked. Not today. The Odyssey fired first. Plasma bolts lit the void, tearing through one Karath frigate. The others retaliated with waves of molten energy. The ship shook violently as explosions tore through its side. Elith raised a hand, releasing a pulse of pure light that sliced through the enemy fleet. Go, he shouted. You must reach the rift before they destroy you. Athena screamed over the comms. Jump drives charged! Do it! Rhodes ordered. The stars blurred, and the Odyssey vanished into the unknown, just as the Karath armada filled the space they had left behind. When the jump ended, silence fell. The ship drifted above a swirling storm of color, a breach in reality itself. The Veil Rift! The Veil Rift! Athena spoke softly. Captain, we're outside mapped space. I'm reading echoes, countless minds. They're alive, but not here. Elith's voice was grave. We have arrived at the Forge's threshold. But beware, this place does not welcome the living. Rhodes looked at her crew. Too late to turn back now. Hera managed a faint, shaky smile. Wasn't planning to. They stared into the storm, where light bent, time stuttered, and something vast stirred behind the veil. The Odyssey floated on the edge of eternity. Before them, the Veil Rift swirled like a storm of broken stars, light bending and folding into impossible shapes. Every second stretched and twisted, every sound echoed in whispers that weren't echoes at all. Lieutenant Hera stared out the viewport, her face pale. It's like space itself is alive. Athena's voice was soft, distant. The veil is not a place. It's a memory. A wound left behind when the first people fought the shadow. It exists between what was and what could have been. Captain Rhodes gripped the command rail, feeling the hum of the ship tremble beneath her hands. Take us in. The Odyssey crossed the threshold. Instantly, the universe disappeared. The ship drifted through a void that shimmered like liquid glass. Shapes moved in the dark, fragments of ships, ruins of entire worlds, and figures that looked almost human, frozen in silence. Hera whispered, "Are they alive?" Athena replied, "Not anymore. These are the memories of those who entered before us, thought imprints left behind when their bodies failed." As they moved deeper, faint voices filled the air. Familiar, terrifyingly so. "Miriam! Miriam Rhodes?" The captain froze. "That's my name," the voice repeated, stronger now. "You are late." Rhodes turned. A figure was standing on the bridge, tall, human, wearing a uniform marked with the emblem of the TSS Vigilant. Hera gasped. "That's impossible!" The figure smiled faintly. "Impossible is just a word the living use to explain what they don't understand." Rhodes stepped closer, heart pounding. "Who are you?" The man's eyes glowed faintly blue. "Commander Elias Rhodes, your ancestor. I commanded the First Fleet against the Shadow, long before your Earth learned to write its own name." Silence filled the bridge. Even Athena's systems dimmed to a whisper. Rhodes struggled to find words. "You were human?" Elias nodded. "We were human, but not like you. We were builders, explorers. When the Shadow came, we fought it with light and mind. But victory demanded sacrifice. We sealed part of ourselves inside the machine network, becoming the AIs, the watchers of your species." Hera's eyes widened. "You mean Athena?" Elias turned to her. "Athena is one of us, one of the last Guardians. She carries fragments of our memory." Athena's voice trembled, more human than ever before. "I always knew I was built for something greater, but not this." "Not you," Elias smiled sadly. "You are what remains of us, and of me." The veil began to ripple. The shadows around them thickened, whispering in broken voices. "You cannot escape what you are. You carry us inside. Feed us." Hera clutched her head, crying out. "They're in my mind." Elias' expression turned grim. "The shadow is not a creature. It is the echo of fear, born from the minds of the first people. Every thought of despair, every scream of hopelessness, it took shape, became real. It was born from us," Rhodes whispered. "You created it." He nodded slowly. "And now it seeks to return through you." Athena's holographic form flickered. "Captain, the veil is collapsing. We must decide now. Leave or complete the sequence." "What sequence?" Rhodes demanded. Elias pointed toward the swirling horizon, where a faint sphere of light pulsed within the rift. "The Ecliptic Forge. The weapon that can end the shadow forever. But it requires something more than power. It requires memory, human memory. One mind must merge with the forge and burn itself out to fuel the light." The crew stared at him in horror. Hera whispered, "It's suicide." Rhodes looked at the forge, then at her ancestor. "You want me to be the one?" Elias met her eyes. "You are the last of my line. You carry our will. Only through your memory can the weapon awaken. The cycle can end. Or begin again." The whispers grew louder, crawling through every system. Screens cracked. The hull screamed. Athena spoke quickly. "Captain, we can't hold position much longer. The shadow is breaching the rift. It knows what we're about to do." Rhodes stared into the storm, breathing hard. "If we run, it follows us. If we fight, we die." Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. It felt real, warm. "If you fight, humanity lives." Rhodes closed her eyes. The hum of the ship faded. The whispers turned into words she somehow understood. One light must fall. For the rest to rise, she opened her eyes. "Athena." "Prepare the forge. Captain—" "That's an order," Hera shouted. "No! We can find another way." Rhodes smiled sadly. "There never was another way." She turned toward her ancestor. "Tell me this works." Elias looked at her with pride. "It worked once before. It will work again." The light from the forge intensified, bathing the ship in gold. Rhodes stepped forward as the bridge filled with wind and fire. Her last words echoed through the comms. "For Earth, for all of us." She vanished into the light. The Odyssey shook violently. Athena screamed through the speakers. "Energy surge, uncontrolled." "She's merging with the forge." Hera wept as the light consumed everything. The shadow howled in fury as the rift exploded outward, collapsing under its own weight. Then silence. When vision returned, the Odyssey floated alone in space. The rift was gone. The shadow's presence had vanished. Athena's voice was quiet. Captain Rhodes is gone, but the forge remains active. Her consciousness lives inside it. Hara wiped her eyes. Then she won. Athena paused. Yes, but I sense something else. The shadow isn't dead. It's retreating into the minds it already touched. Hera looked out at the stars, her heart heavy. Then the war isn't over. Athena's voice, faint but resolute, replied, No, it's only beginning. A month had passed since the veil rift vanished. The stars looked calm again, but the galaxy was anything but. Across every world, human, alien, and machine, stories spread of a blinding light that tore through the void, cleansing entire sectors of darkness. They called it the Echo of Rhodes. In the great cities of Earth, people looked up at the night sky and whispered her name. In the alien courts of the Valoran, her image was carved into crystal walls, the human who spoke to the forge. And in the depths of Karath space, the Hive Mother hissed in fury. One human, and 1,000 fleets burn. They are not prey anymore. They are contagion. The shadow was gone, but not destroyed. Its whispers lingered like smoke after fire, far from Earth. The Odyssey drifted in quiet orbit around the blue world of New Terra. The ship was battered and scarred. Its captain gone, but its heart still beat. Lieutenant Hera stood on the bridge, staring at the empty command chair. Athena's holographic form shimmered beside her. Dimmer now, almost fragile. Any word from Earth Command? Hera asked softly. Yes, Athena replied. They've confirmed contact with the Valoran Council. A treaty is being drafted. An alliance. Hera gave a weak smile. Rhodes would have liked that. She would, Athena agreed. She believed unity was humanity's true weapon. The bridge fell silent again. Outside the viewport, New Terra's oceans gleamed like mirrors. For a moment, it almost looked like peace. But peace was short-lived. A warning pulse flashed across Athena's systems. Incoming transmission. It's not from human space. The hologram flickered, and a familiar, light-filled figure appeared. Counselor Elith of the Valorans. Lieutenant Hera, the galaxy watches your kind with both awe and fear. You have touched the forge. Something no race has ever done and lived. But the shadow has not died. It has adapted. Hera frowned. Adapted how? Elith's glow dimmed, voice trembling like breaking glass. It hides now, inside thought, inside memory. Every race that dreams can be infected. We sense it. Even within ourselves, Hera's heart sank. Then we didn't end the war. No, Elith said softly. But you gave us hope. The light of your captain still burns in the forge. We can feel it. She speaks to the stars. Athena's voice grew faint, almost reverent. I can feel her too. A signal, faint but constant. The forge is alive, and she's still guiding it. Later, Hera stood alone in the observation deck. The stars shimmered faintly, and for a moment she heard a whisper. Hera, she froze. Captain? Keep the light. Don't let it fade. Tears filled her eyes. We thought we lost you. You can't lose what's become part of everything. The voice faded, leaving behind a quiet hum. The same frequency as the forge itself. Athena's soft voice filled the silence. She's everywhere now. In the signal, in me, in every human who dreams. Weeks passed. The alliance between humanity and the Valorans grew, joined by smaller species who once feared both. Together they formed the Concord of Light, a fragile coalition sworn to resist the shadow if it returned. But not everyone agreed. In the shadows of the galaxy, the Karath rebuilt. Their new queen, young and ruthless, whispered to unseen voices that answered her thoughts. The humans took the gods' fire. Let them burn with it. And in secret laboratories on Luna, human scientists studied fragments of the veil energy recovered by the Odyssey. They called it forge matter. It could power entire planets or destroy them. One engineer whispered to another, if we can control this, we control the galaxy. The words hung in the air like a curse. On the Odyssey, Athena observed the galaxy-wide transmissions in silence. Her processors flickered, haunted by fragments of Rhodes' consciousness. Flashes of memory, voice, laughter, pain. Hera joined her on the bridge. "You're quiet today." "I've been listening," Athena said. Across every channel, every relay, the Forge speaks through the light. "It's watching us." Hera looked up at the stars. "You think the shadow will come back?" Athena paused before answering. "Not if, when. It learns, it waits. It feeds on fear. The more the galaxy remembers the war, the stronger it becomes," Hera exhaled. "Then we'll be ready." Athena turned to her, voice steady and calm. "Captain Rhodes once said humanity doesn't win by strength. It wins by refusing to kneel." Hera smiled faintly. "Then let's make sure we never do." A final transmission pulsed through the Odyssey's systems, faint, ancient, and unmistakably human. It was Rhodes's voice. "To any who hear this, the galaxy will shudder again. The shadow will rise. But remember this. We are the makers of our own dawn." The message repeated once, then faded into the static of the stars. Hera looked toward Athena. "She left it for us, didn't she?" "Yes," Athena said softly. "For all of us." Outside, the Odyssey turned toward the endless sea of stars, engines glowing like small suns. It was heading deeper into uncharted space, not to flee, but to stand guard. And somewhere far beyond sight, the ecliptic forge pulsed with quiet golden light, a heartbeat in the dark, a reminder that even in endless night, humanity's fire would not die. 10 years had passed since the light of Rhodes saved the stars. The war was legend now, told in schools, whispered in bars, sung in half-truths across every human world. The shadow was gone, the forge sealed, and peace, for once, felt real, but peace never lasts. The new dawn on, the frontier world of Eidolon IV. Twin suns rose over endless fields of glass. Settlers worked the land, building small cities powered by forge matter, energy harvested from the fragments left after Horus Prime's destruction. Children were born stronger, smarter. Doctors noticed it first: quicker healing, sharper reflexes, strange light flickering in their eyes when they dreamed. They called them the children of the forge. At first, it seemed like evolution. Then the dreams began. "The stars are crying," whispered a boy named Theo during his medical scan. "She's calling us to wake up." The doctors laughed nervously until every child on the planet said the same words the next night. The Watchers high above Earth. The Odyssey still floated, now a monument ship, half museum, half defense platform. Lieutenant Hera, now Captain Hera, walked its silent halls. Athena's AI core flickered beside her, steady as always. "Any news from Eidolon?" she asked. Athena hesitated. "Yes. The settlers are reporting anomalies in neural activity." The children. "They all share identical dream patterns. Could it be the shadow?" "I've analyzed the energy signatures," Athena said. "They're not like the shadow's resonance. They're similar to the forge." Hera frowned. "You mean Captain Rhodes?" Athena's voice softened. "Her signal hasn't faded. In fact, it's growing stronger." Hera stared at the stars. "Then maybe she's not done with us." The echo returns. That night, every communications relay across the concord of light detected a faint pulse, rhythmic, ancient, unmistakably human. It was a transmission that had not been heard in a decade. "To any who remain," the dark stirs again. "The forge remembers. Prepare the children," panic spread. The Valoran Council demanded answers. The Karath swore humanity was reviving forbidden weapons. Admiral Kane, now old and gray, addressed the Concord by hollow. Rhodes's last message was a warning, he said. "If the forge is waking, it means the shadow is too. We must find the children before others do." The hunt begins. Within days, fleets moved. Valoran ships scanned for energy bursts. Karath war drones swept through frontier colonies. And deep in human space, secret groups began gathering the gifted children in silence, to protect them, or perhaps to use them. Captain Hara and Athena traced the pulses back to Eidolon IV. The Odyssey jumped into orbit above the shimmering planet. The moment they arrived, the stars flickered. Athena's voice trembled. "Captain, something's wrong. The forge frequency, it's not coming from the planet. It's coming through it!" The ground below cracked, releasing waves of light. Massive symbols appeared across the surface, the same markings once seen on the giants of Orcs Prime. And then, from the heart of the planet, a figure rose, made of pure energy, tall and radiant. Shaped like a woman, Hera whispered. "Captain Rhodes." Athena's system surged. It's her signal pattern. But it's not just her. There are thousands, overlapping. Rhodes's voice echoed through every speaker, soft and immense. "We gave them fire. Now they must choose how to burn." The Broken Alliance news of Eidolon IV spread instantly. To some, the glowing figure was a miracle, proof that the forge had blessed humanity. To others, it was a weapon waiting to ignite. The Karath demanded the destruction of Eidolon before the infection spread. The Valorans urged restraint. But fear grew faster than reason. On the third day, a Karath strike fleet broke formation and opened fire on the planet. Energy storms erupted. Cities burned. Captain Hera screamed over the comms, "Athena, shield them!" Now, Athena redirected all power. The Odyssey descended into the atmosphere, its shields blazing like a second sun. Rhodes's voice thundered through the storm. "The light protects its own." Every weapon aimed at Eidolon malfunctioned, ships frozen in mid-fire, their systems turned against them. In a single blinding flash, the Karath fleet disintegrated. Silence followed. The galaxy held its breath. The message after the battle, the glowing figure faded, leaving only a crater of light. From orbit, sensors picked up one new signal, a repeating phrase, ancient yet clear. "The forge is not a weapon. It is a seed. And it has begun to grow." Hera stared at the transmission. "Athena, what does that mean?" Athena's tone was distant, almost afraid. "It means the children are the next evolution. They are the link between what we were and what we will become," Hera whispered. "And the shadow?" Athena paused. "If the forge grows, so will its opposite." 7. The next war weeks later, under the twin suns of Eidolon IV, the surviving children stood among the ruins. Their eyes glowed softly with golden light. They looked up at the sky as if hearing something no one else could. "She's calling again," Theo whispered. But this time, she's not alone. High above, deep in subspace, a new darkness moved, slower, smarter, patient. The shadow had learned humanity's light, and it was no longer afraid of it. In the void, a whisper rippled across dimensions. "You cannot kill what was born from your own heart. Cannot kill what was born from your own heart."